Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today we are talking about Bukayo Saka. Could he be next in line for a move to Manchester City from Arsenal? Those are basically what people are reporting on and talking about today, because there's more and more of this story developing, and it is leaning towards Saka possibly going to Manchester City in the very near future. Possibly this summer if something is to materialise pretty big. Alongside obviously the Erling Haaland situation for Manchester City, but obviously multiple outlets are letting on that maybe Manchester City are preparing to step up in their pursuit of the England winger, and Arsenal could be in for a pretty rough summer if things are to be believed. That is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to explore this kind of story. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into this story. Talking about Bukayo Saka. Like I say, today, the main headline that's dominating multiple news outlets and multiple newspapers and stuff like that is that Manchester City are preparing to increase their interest in Bukayo Saka. Now, I think this is going to be a very interesting story going forward. I like Bukayo Saka. I think that he's a really talented footballer, and I think that his ceiling is huge and he can only get bigger and better. The only thing with this story is I don't think that anything will materialise properly right now. I don't think anything is going to happen with him or Man City or another club for that matter, if there is another club out there, which we'll get onto a little later. But I don't think anything will happen in this transfer window. I believe that maybe in a year or two's time, things may change. There are a few factors to this. One is obviously going to be the Arsenal situation, how they get along in their kind of rebuild under Mikel Arteta. And of course, the second part is going to be kind of hand in hand with it, I guess, the fact that Saka has 2 years left on his Arsenal deal. Now, of course, time is not on Arsenal's side in regards to this player. So basically, the current situation at Arsenal is they've got a big player who's a big talent, who's obviously going to be projected to go on to bigger and better heights, and needs to obviously be at top level in order to progress, in order to evolve and to elevate his game to new heights. And it's obvious that that would only generate more interest in him, particularly from the top clubs that are currently in Europe and, as we know, especially in England because of the Manchester City links. Like I say, time is not on Arsenal's side. Next season is going to be a massive season for Arsenal and everybody involved, from Mikel Arteta to the football club itself, the fans, and especially for a player like Bukayo Saka. Arsenal have a good mix of players that are probably very good in my opinion. The players like Gabriel Martinelli, for example, Emil Smith-Rowe. And if they're not careful, Arsenal, and if they don't quite reach the heights that they're meant to be getting back to and getting to, then obviously they could lose their players. And Saka is a player of pure talent and quality. And like I say, if he wants to get to that next level, if he wants to obviously win trophies, Arsenal may not be the football club for him to be at, especially in maybe a year or two's time, if, like I say, Arsenal don't get to where they need to be. I know the Arsenal documentary is coming out very soon as a review of this season that's been, but it genuinely is all or nothing next season, if you like, for Arsenal. It has to be. They have to start showing progression and getting into that top four and breaking through there. Whether they do that or not remains to be seen. For Manchester City, it's obviously a position in which they're going to be looking at more and more as time goes on. Currently occupying that position is Riyad Mahrez, but Riyad Mahrez only has 1 more year left on his contract. I know Gabriel Jesus can be deployed as a right winger in either Mahrez's absence, or if Mahrez needs a rest or whatever it may be. But he may actually be going the other way this summer. He may be going to Arsenal, so that kind of does free up a bit of a space there. And like I say, if reports are to be believed as well, Mahrez could be on his way this summer as well. So I think if there is something to materialise here this summer, I think it would depend on Riyad Mahrez. Either that, or like I say, Mahrez could leave at the end of his contract on a free transfer, and then City could look to get him next year. Like I say, Saka's got 2 years left on his contract. Next year, he could leave for a cut of the price, or they could wait for another couple of years and try and snatch him up on a free transfer. There is obviously quite a few factors at play, and quite a bit of the unknown obviously in play as well when in regards to this deal, as to whether or not Saka re-signs with Arsenal, if certain things are met and if certain promises are kept, and if certain achievements are obviously achieved, or if they're not, then obviously it seems to be open season, and then there's a lot of options that I think that he should and maybe could be considering going forward. Obviously Saka's English, Saka's 20 years of age, so the English kind of criteria and the youth criteria kind of meets what Manchester City may be looking at going forward. He's a very talented individual, as I've mentioned a few times. He broke through into the England squad in the past few years, is a star in that Arsenal squad in general, and can only get better. I think there is a lot to this guy's ceiling and to his potential as to where he can go and what he can achieve. He's still a little bit rough around the edges, but I think obviously with a better manager and with better players around him, he can obviously iron out those creases in his game and obviously get better and better. He's been showing clear progression at a team like Arsenal, who are going through a rebuild. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders to obviously carry what is essentially one of the weakest Arsenal sides in years gone by, to a side that's obviously rebuilding and trying to get somewhere under Mikel Arteta. So to say that he's obviously carried that shows real kind of leadership and real big qualities at that I think would be worthy assets at Manchester City, that can be obviously grown and nurtured and obviously reach to the potential that we know he can. And obviously evolving his game. It's just evolving his game, and like I say, with better players, better manager, maybe it can take him to new heights. One of the criticisms and critiques of Saka in recent years has obviously been that he needs to add more of an end product to his game in terms of goals and assists, and you can tell that this season especially he has done that. He has played in all 38 games in the Premier League this season and has scored 11 goals and assisted 7 times in all of those games, which is pretty good for a 20-year-old, and obviously shows great progression from seasons gone by. And with maybe more of a recognised striker up front for Arsenal, maybe he could have even got more of an output this season, and maybe the progression, or maybe the pressure wouldn't have been so much on his shoulders this season as opposed to maybe someone else, for example. As stated, he's been ever present for Arsenal this season. Played 38 games, all 38 in the Premier League, and played a few games in other cup competitions as well. So that is a really good sign that he doesn't get injured much. Obviously, touch wood on that. That he continues that kind of good ever-present punctual form. He's quick. He's skillful. His link-up play is getting better and better every time I see him. And he's just constantly improving in key areas. And I think that obviously for a Pep Guardiola side, that's obviously good to see. And obviously Mikel Arteta working with Guardiola would know that more than most, that those kind of things go hand in hand with each other. Along with obviously being very good, very skillful, and everything that I talked about, he's also very versatile. I've constantly said this now for a while, that I think if you are to reach the heights of a very good team, like a Liverpool, like a Manchester City, a Real Madrid, so on and so forth, I think the new modern day player for those kind of teams needs to be versatile and can play in multiple different positions, and Saka can do exactly that. Predominantly a right winger, but can also play on the left wing as more of a winger rather than as an inside forward. He can also play as a left midfielder, a right midfielder. He even played at left back a few times, and even in central midfield a few times. There is multiple strings to this guy's bow, and he can play in multiple different positions and play well and consistently in those positions. So I think that obviously for a potential Pep Guardiola signing, that is very good to have in your arsenal and have in your kind of locker, so to speak. He's clearly very talented. He's clearly full of quality, has a lot of potential and promise to his game, and has shown clear progression season in, season out, since obviously he burst onto the main scene at Arsenal. And I think that Arsenal fans need to make peace with this. I think if they, like I mentioned before, if they don't reach where they're meant to reach in the next couple of years, they're going to have to make peace with the fact that this kind of thing is going to make players' heads turn. I remember it happening with Liverpool with the likes of Coutinho and Suarez, and even going way back to like Xabi Alonso and Fernando Torres. We weren't reaching the heights, and players were getting a bit restless in their careers, and that's what made them turn to obviously bigger and better clubs at that time, to say, I need to be reaching the next level of my career, I need to be winning trophies. And that is pretty much what's going to happen with Arsenal. I already mentioned the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe and Gabriel Martinelli. They could be next in line after Saka in this kind of mass leaving of Arsenal, if they don't get to where they want and need to be. The worst part for the Gunners is obviously the contract situation, which I've alluded to. 2 years left on Saka's contract isn't a good position for the club. I understand that Saka loves the club. I understand that he may have an allegiance and a loyalty to the club. I understand that maybe this might all be for nothing. This might actually be where Saka pledges his loyalty and is actually more loyal to Arsenal than actually going out and wanting to play for a team like Manchester City. Maybe that's the case. We don't exactly know, but if he wants to reach that next level, maybe he isn't going to reach it at Arsenal. And if he wants to leave a career that is obviously going to be well decorated for him, and he wants to challenge for those big trophies, and he wants a huge chance at being really successful in his career, then maybe Manchester City, or a team like Manchester City, is the place for him. Like I say, I think most of it depends on Arsenal. I think most of it does depend on Arsenal. They have to go out in the transfer windows and show ambition, build a team around these young great players that they have within their squad right now. They need to obviously show more consistency, particularly in not necessarily the big games like against your Man Cities, your Liverpools, but against the teams that you're expected to be. Obviously your derbies are your derbies, they have to be that. But against the teams like this season, you could argue that the games against the likes of Southampton and Crystal Palace and Brighton were the games that Arsenal should have won, but didn't, and they faltered and they failed, and they failed pretty miserably. So if Arsenal can get more consistency in those types of games, more than the big games that they're not expected to really get anything out of, maybe top 4 could be possible next season. We'll obviously have to wait and see. Otherwise, like I say, in a year's time, it's going to be a cut of the price that they would have originally got for them. In 2 years' time, it could be a free transfer that they lose Saka on. That's just the way it is. For me, Saka under Guardiola is a frightening prospect, because we know that obviously Guardiola can turn players, particularly youngsters, and make them better. I remember seeing it with Raheem Sterling at Man City, when obviously he left Liverpool to join Man City. 50 million was seen as a massive price tag at the time. It was a massive chance to take on a youngster who was looking good and looking decent, but obviously didn't show the kind of consistency because he didn't have the chance to show the consistency. Moved to Manchester City with Guardiola and tow, got better and better and better as the seasons wore on. And obviously, like I say, it could happen with Saka again, and this would be a massive, massive opportunity for him to, like I say, not only grow as a player, get to that next level and be one of the best, but to also leave a successful career behind him. But it's not only Manchester City that are rumoured to be interested. There are rumours, there are whispers, there are a few reports going around that allegedly Liverpool are also monitoring this situation. Allegedly he is on Liverpool's radar. That could also be interesting. We of course know that the Mohamed Salah situation is up in the air, and he isn't exactly getting any younger either. And whilst he's still got a few years left, there isn't really a proper backup, I would say. Not a prolific one at that, not as prolific as Salah. Maybe having a youngster like Saka as his understudy for a little bit, and obviously with the versatility that I've talked about Saka, could be what turns Jurgen Klopp's head, if obviously those reports are to be believed. But what we do know is that Manchester City, although they've tried to distance themselves, it would be very weird if all of these reports are coming out but there's no actual or no real interest in him. I genuinely don't think, like I say, anything is going to happen this summer unless something happens to Riyad Mahrez. I don't think anything will happen this summer, but next summer, definitely keep your eye out for Bukayo Saka, and especially across the season as well, because I would imagine that Saka is going to only continue to improve going forward, generate more interest, and obviously be a great player going forward. Not that he isn't already great, but even better than what he is right now. But those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Bukayo Saka? What do you make of the alleged interest that is generating in him from the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool? Do you see a move materialising this summer, or will it happen across the next couple of years when his contract starts to run down with the club? Or do you see him actually staying with Arsenal? Do you think there is a loyalty there from Saka to Arsenal that may actually see him pick loyalty over money, say, or maybe even, dare I say, trophies? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it on this particular matter, down below in the comment section, because we're sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and preferably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.